Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my name is Edmond Safari. Today we talk about something pivotal in our lives, leadership. Now, amongst us, we have some people who aspire to be student leaders, and some of us are already student leaders, whereas others have already gone through the system. But if you ask them if they have had a mentor or a coach through that process of becoming a student leader, they will probably tell you none. Now today, I bring you a guest who has been a good speaker, a head prefect, therefore a former student leader, who will share with us the journey of mentoring young leaders. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Safari. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now tell me, who is Agaba Ronald Bills?
In short, I would say Agaba Ronald Bills is a son of a loving family, a product of inspired teachers, and currently a friend of young people who are aspiring to take up leadership.
And in your among the names you say Agaba Ronald Bills.
Yes.
Where does the Bills come from?
Oh, very interesting history for my name Bills. In about 1998, now when I talk about years, it makes me a little bit older. I was in P6 and I was given an opportunity to read news at my primary school back in Kazo Primary School. And I used to listen to a lot of BBC Focus on Africa. And there was a fellow called Agaba Bills. So I was looking for a celebrity name that suited best in the work that I was doing. So in P6, I adopted the name Bills to suit the BBC profile.
So you named yourself Bills?
So I named myself Bills.
Okay.
And it really caught fire. And it's exciting now that you ask about it.
Yeah, and you were a former student. Tell me different experiences as a student leader then.
Yes, my experience as a student leader, it's one of the most liberating things in school, because the structure of our school system is that you have a lot of things that get you bored, including the subjects where you're not performing well. So being a student leader at an early age, right from my primary level, liberated me from some of the boring subjects that you would know outside the classroom. You have something that you would take refuge in that was exciting and challenging. And because you've been a student leader through various schools, from primary, high school, at the university, do you still believe that you would we be seeing Bills, an MP, president one time? Oh my God, that's a very exciting question. Yeah. There's undisputable research or evidence out there in the public that more than 90% of the current crop of our national leaders were former students leaders. So it wouldn't be an accident if tomorrow I'm presiding over not only a member of parliament, because I think the bar for being a member of parliament is a basic one. Yes. So when you're a successful student leader, I think the basics are, maybe you should have asked, would you be a speaker of parliament, a president at that, or a community leader that is transforming lives. So it's a taken. Okay. I would be interested in. And you're an emerging author, and some of your book, I have it here, The Secrets of Effective Student Leaders. And your work's already on the market. Yeah. When did you start writing? That's a question that is a bit tricky for me, because I didn't set out to be an author like Chimamanda Adichie or Ngugi wa Thiong'o and all these kinds of brilliant writers. But I had thirst for passing on the experiences that I had gathered throughout my 13 years in school as a student leader,
then the 3 years at the university, an accumulated experience of 15 years. So when I was exiting university in 2010, Chambogo University, there's always a transition time from the time you finish your exams when you graduate up to when you graduate. Some people choose to enjoy that time to gamble, to get married, to look for internships here and there. I chose that time to reflect on what education and my experiences that I had gone through school had given to me. So I put down a draft that later translates into a book that has ushered me onto the stage to a profile that now you call me here. And so I said, despite my experience in student leadership, I don't find anything on record or in a library that I could go to and start as a mentor, as a guiding tool for me to be an effective leader. So when I put down these ideas, at first they were more than 100. Then to answer your question, when the test of being an author came in, they were filtrated and purified to be 50 principles of my experiences. And I decided to do a litmus test on whether through the things that I was talking about were reflective of every person that has gone through student leadership. And then you have it. In that book, the current Prime Minister of Uganda, the Right Honorable Dr. Hakana Rugunda, I gave him a copy of my draft. He was very kind to read through. I also gave it to the headmistress, the current headmistress of Gayaza High School, because she's still interacting with the students to see the other balance of people who are still practicing and guiding these young people. I also gave it to someone in private sector, Mr. Arnito Rugendo. He had freshly come back from the Tutu Leadership Fellowship. So as an amateur, I was just trying to see if my ideas would work. I got amazing feedback from these 3 personalities. And the endorsement from their names is what you see translated into my book.
How easy or difficult was it to put this into writing?
Once you are not a quack, it's a journey that is worth it. I wouldn't say I spent a lot of money doing research.
Yes.
But it took me a lot of time reflecting on my experiences. And also the grace to ask for feedback and guidance where you feel you have an idea that stretches your imagination. So the combination of a discipline to accomplish a task on one hand, but also the grace to admit where you fall short, to ask for a helping hand to improve, made it an experience like preparing a meal, where when you're cutting onions, you have some tears, but they are not tears of sadness.
Yes.
They are tears of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your book talks more about leadership in schools.
Yes.
Why did you focus more on schools?
It's my belief that it is easy to build a strong generation than mend a broken one.
And is it the only place where leadership is required?
Yes. So because of that, I picked school because it is the nursery bed of fixing national leadership. As I enumerated Edmund, most of our national leaders honed their leadership skills from the institutions where they went. So there's no mistake that the leaders that will repress the president, if there comes such a time that he has to leave, and all these other national leaders will definitely come from a place called a school.
Thank you very much.
A school is an exciting place that you have a catchment area of a lot of talent.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
when we be back from the commercial break, we shall join us more into the conversation. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned to Urban TV as we continue this conversation. Earlier on,
Yes.
and this
Edmund.
book talks about leadership.
Yes.
And possibly that is one area of attachment that you really follow passively.
Yeah.
What do you consider to be the true qualities of a good student leader?
In that book, I said to be a student leader. Now that you ask specifically for student leaders, you must first be a student. And to be a student, there are suspended students, expelled students, and students who are in school. So you must be a student who is in school. From my 16 years experience in the Ugandan education system, despite having faithful school employees, gatemen, secretaries, bursars, they always had a way of having been at our schools for a longer time. We never had an experience where a gateman was asked to be a head boy or a secretary asked to be a secretary asked to be a head girl. So the starting point, you must be a student. And two, you must be a student that is above reproach, both by your peers, that they have confidence. Peer leadership is one of the most challenging things, that me and you, I have nothing much to gain from you in terms of either you're going to give me extra marks or school fees, but I earn your respect. So at a level of what would it take for one to be a student leader, I would say you must be a student, and two, you must command peer leadership. At a personal level, you must be interested in being a leader. It should be your idea. And everywhere I go when I'm doing orientation for young people in schools, I tell them that welcome to leadership, to this business. If you were told by your auntie that the way you are smart, you deserve to be a leader, you should walk out of this room. If you are told by a headmaster or a headmistress, the safari from the way you look, I think you should be the entertainment prefect. It's high time you questioned whether you are ready for leadership. It must be a personal initiative, that you as a person, as a young person, you look at a responsibility, measure your abilities, and say, I can offer myself to serve in a certain area.
Truth be told,
Yes.
you're a young guy. And certainly I think you also accept that you're a young person. Have you undertaken any sort of trainings through workshops, conferences, to deliver these kind of motivational sessions to student leaders?
Yes, I am currently a fellow with Leadership Square Africa. I received a lot of mentorship from 9 African presidents at the fall of 2009 during this Global Smart Partnership.
You're a
I
lucky
was
guy.
very privileged to spend close to 5 days with unlimited access to men that preside over nations and the king, King of Mswati. And over a period of time, I have been very privileged to find a seat in forums that talk about leadership. But also, more importantly, I've embarked on self-study, reading books about leadership, interrogating leadership theories, and being able to test my understanding of what leadership is in different forums. So if you asked me, have you attended any trainings? I think I have enough evidence to show that, yes, my face has been familiar in corners of leadership and mentorship. So in short, I'm a guy who you would give a place at a table where leadership is being served.
You're trained in schools.
Yes.
What message do you take to your audiences?
In simplest terms, when I go to these schools, I challenge young people and their administrations that leadership matters. There is a trend or an emphasis on academic performance in schools. But what I have done is not to discourage administrators and students from aspiring to pass in first grade, second grade. But to be able to do that, you must be a leader. Think about it for a minute. The guy that used to come first in your class commands some respect. If he stood up in class and said something, peers would follow. So deconstructing the boundaries of saying one who has a title as a head girl, as information prefect, or a class monitor is the one who is a leader. I'm trying to deconstruct that and say the team captain of netball, of football, is a leader. The Scripture Union team, those are the leaders. Because all these guys that show a direction, a certain direction in school that has influence, are leaders. And it's amazing how, when you say this, administrators look on in shock, and students are very excited that leadership is actually all-inclusive and not limited to either 60 or 100 positions that have a title.
And you've written this book.
Yes.
I think this is your first.
Yeah, that's my first book.
Do you expect any other?
Oh my God. That's my life experience. I'm lucky to be alive. So the more experiences I get, the more books you'll have on your shelf.
Thank you. And I usually ask these to different authors.
Yes.
Some of us love reading this book the conservative way, the hard copy.
Yeah.
Reading through the hard copy.
Yeah.
Others prefer reading through the iPads.
Yeah.
What do you prefer?
I am a victim of technology.
Technology. Soft copy.
I prefer soft copy to hard copy because of limited space. You know, when you are still poor, you have no luxury for a personal jet or a big car.
In 1
so
second.
When you squeeze in
1
a
second,
taxi, yes.
Because the time is running out.
Yeah.
Your parting thoughts, finally.
To the young people who are watching this show, and also the old generation, we have one country called Uganda. Our talents and abilities are being called to a test. Let us show up in our communities to make a contribution that once we have departed from this world, we shall have a signature of having lived.
Thank you very much.
Most
and I
welcome,
hope to invite you
Safari.
one more time.
Thank you very much.
Now, a true leader never stops learning. And you've got to be a student, always learning, always trying to improve, always trying to fellowship amongst different leaders, amongst your peers. In a nutshell, great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to create a difference. And if you can do that, then certainly you are among the true characters of being a leader. So therefore, you've just got to be a leader. And before I leave, I need to remind you to follow us on Twitter at Edmond Safari, like our page on Facebook, on Urban TV, And of course, until next time, your coach, Edmond Safari.